Okay, if I can get your attention, please. Just want to mention an announcement, and Sister Nancy will elaborate on it. But I want to remind you of the ladies' conference that we have coming up on the 25th of this month, and so we're excited about that. Believing the Lord to move and work among our ladies. And Sister Nancy got a few things she wants to share with you at this time.
And I love this microphone.
James loves it too.
The ladies' conference is going to be the 25th of October, and we are going to meet here at 8:30. And from 8:30 till 9, it'll just be greeting one another and getting started as far as knowing maybe what the outline or schedule is for the day. It's scheduled to be from 8:30 to 12, but it may go over 12. And we're planning to have a brunch. We need volunteers to bring food. There are some things already signed up for on this list, but just like Regina, she thought about banana nut bread or apple bread. If you think of something other than what's on the list, then just let us know. But we need your participation, and we know you'll enjoy it. It's going to be a good time together.
Give Nancy a round of applause. That's a fantastic job. James, I'm going to try to rig this up for you, if we may.
Is that all right now? Can you hear me? I'm told I'm supposed to use this thing. So
The closer we can get, the better you are.
1, 2, 3. There it goes. I ought to. I ought to. All righty. Well, thank you. I hope you've had a chance to read Ezekiel and get started in it. I didn't know where to put this in the study of Revelation, because most Bible scholars have got it anywhere from before the rapture till the millennium, after the millennium. They just really don't know where to put this event. But it is going to be a big event that is going to have a great effect upon the tribulation period. So I did want to go across that. That's the reason I told you to look at Ezekiel. Is that okay? Good, okay. All righty. Then let's get started. I'm going to use probably part of a text, a book by David Jeremiah, the Book of Signs. If you haven't read this book, you ought to read it. It's really good. It's not so much about Revelation as it is about the signs of the end times. But there's so much signs about in the Revelation period that he speaks a lot about Revelation in this, and he's very good at it. So I really like, I read several of his books, but he's very good at it. Let's get started then. Ezekiel wrote this prophecy about 2,500 years ago. And, well, I can't hardly see without them. Describing the invasion of Israel by about 10 entities. We'll look at these countries that are going to attack Israel, each one of them separately. I wished I had, and I looked for one, but I couldn't find one, of a big map of the Middle East that would carry Russia and North Africa and the Middle East and all, so you'd have a good idea. But I couldn't find it. I couldn't find anything anywhere to make a copy of it. So I hope you can visualize where these countries are. And when you get at the house, if you got a globe or whatever, look at it and see where it's talking about. Anytime the Bible speaks of a direction, it always centers Israel. Israel is the center of the earth for God. North, south, east, and west, everything comes from Israel. So anytime we read in here about the north or about the south or whatever, it's looking at dead at Israel right there, and then you go from there toward it. In Ezekiel's prophecies about the invading armies that will come to Israel from the far north. If you draw a straight line north of Israel, you will eventually you're going to hit Russia, and it's going to go all the way to the Arctic Ocean, the Arctic Circle. So there's nothing further north than Russia. So we'll be talking about Russia a lot. It says in the first few verses there of Ezekiel, talks about God. It says, "The word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal." Other scholars have identified Meshach and Tubal, well, as Meshach would be Moscow, and Tubal, I can't pronounce that word, but it's another city there, or major city in Russia, and all. But when the word Gog means high or supreme leader, it means, some scholars have said it means like a president, a czar, pharaoh, someone in authority over a country. And that's what we're looking at here. When we talk about Gog, we're talking about the leader of Russia, leading them and all. It says Gog is the leader of the armies that will invade Israel. And God commands Gog to be the guard or commander for these nations. This is in verse 7 as you go down through it. It says, "Prepare yourself and be ready, you and all your companies that are gathered about you, and be a guard for them." What he's talking about is being a guard for these other countries that's going to join in the alliance and go against Israel, is what he's talking about here. Let's name some of these countries. The Bible is very specific about which ones do it. Magog is the first one that's listed. You'll find these references in Genesis. They go back to Noah. It's his children and grandchildren. You know, when the Tower of Babel, God broke them up by scattering the languages. Everybody had a different language, so they started wandering off in different directions. You know that story. Well, these are the sons and grandsons of Noah that we're talking about here. And this one is Magog. It says Magog was the second son of Japheth and the grandson of Noah. Most scholars have identified the land of Magog as founded in the domain of the Senecans, who live in the mountains around the Black and Caspian Sea. You have different scholars saying different things. Some scholars will put it in Russia as Magog. You'll see that on some of your study things in the Bible. Some scholars are saying it's the Scythians. If you read in history, you'll see a lot about Scythians. Well, this is it. If you'll picture the Black Sea, which is right north of Turkey, it's got the Black Sea and it's got the Caspian Sea. Well, around these seas are mountains, and the Scythians went and settled in these these territories and all. And that's what they're calling here where they come from. These are the countries, as David Jeremiah put, he liked to call them the stand countries. And I'm going to try to pronounce these. I hope I get them all correct. They are the former Soviet Empire. Here we go. Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and even perhaps north of Afghanistan. I don't know why they didn't claim Pakistan too, but they didn't. But I mean, it's all these stand countries, as Brother David Jeremiah says. But they have one thing in common, these countries. They are all extreme Muslims. And they are all terribly against Israel. They hate Israel with a passion. I hate Christians with a passion also. But Israel, the Jews, is their number one hatred. They'll start training their children at about 4 years of age in these countries, and they teach them strictly out of the Quran, the book of the Muslims, their Bible. They teach out of this, and they start at 4, and they start teaching them to hate Israel and the Jews from 4 years old. They teach them to be a jihad is the bravest and the most best thing that they can achieve in their life. That's what they're doing. All these schools, they say if he's going to school, it's at a Muslim school or whatever. That's what they're getting taught. They're not getting taught to how to better themselves or build a better life or to advance in science or math or anything like that. They're being taught strictly to hate the Jews. And it's a very big problem. All right, let's go on. Meshach and Tubal. Meshach and Tubal were the 5th and 6th sons of Japheth, and therefore grandsons of Noah. Then we come to the Persia. Now everybody knows, or most everybody does, that Persia today is Iran. In fact, they didn't change their name until 1935. They changed it to Iran, and then in 1979, they changed it again to the Islamic Republic of Iran. But Iran, even though they're out right now, they're going to be in this war, and they were going to come with Russia and all. The next country we'll go to is Ethiopia. It's the first of the 2 North African nations named in this coalition. Ethiopia was founded by Cush, the grandson of Noah again. The grandson of Noah through his second son, Ham. When Ezekiel made this prophecy, Ethiopia was the land south of Egypt. It has, over time, changed. It has dropped a little bit further south. And the country that's taken over where Ethiopia was today is Sudan. And they are, like Iran, very fierce enemies of Israel. Then we come to Libya. Libya is the land west of Egypt. The only country on Ezekiel's list that retains its ancient name. Like Ethiopia, it was founded by his son Ham. In this case, Put. If you read very much of the Bible, and especially the early in Genesis, you will see Put and these other names in the Bible. Well, this is who went to Libya. The next person on the list is Gomer. Gomer was the first son of Japheth and the grandson of Noah. Many have taught that Gomer was the founder of the nation that is now Germany. When I first read it years ago, I said, what? I didn't think, that it was Germany would be in this. But when you start looking back at Germany's history, you can almost see it. You can see what they've done. In fact, I read here, I don't know, a year or two or three ago, that Germany has now over 1 million Muslims living in their small country. And it just keeps pointing to the end of time when they go to putting pressure on Germany to join this coalition and all. Other Bible scholars don't take it as Germany. They interpret it as Turkey, parts of Turkey. They say it's part of the Scythians and all. All these Bible scholars, they're trying their best, I guess, to come up with exactly what it is. But they all have different opinions and all. So you read and see what their opinions is and how they come with their opinions. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. And I'm sure you'll agree with some and some don't either. But with this war and everything is, the best thing is don't get real dogmatic about when it's going to take place, exactly what country is what. They're pretty sure about some of them, and some of the others it seems like they're guessing off the wall. It's my opinion. But anyway. Okay, let's go to the next one. Togarmah, I guess is the way you pronounce it. Togarmah was the third son of Gomer, son of Japheth, the great-grandson of Noah. Some commentators identify Togarmah with Turkey, noting a possible connection between the name Togarmah and the names Turkey and Turkestan. You're going to find a lot of it points back toward Turkey. Turkey's going to be a big player in this war when it comes about. They get mentioned they get mentioned almost as much as Russia does. And all. Though the northern armies of Russia and Turkey will lead the coalition, they will be joined by Iran from the east, Sudan, Libya from the south, and possibly Germany from the west in the form of a revived European coalition of nations. To darken the picture for Israel, Ezekiel added that the nation will have many peoples with it. In other words, what most of the scholars think about is that there'll be a lot of people. Their country may not be involved exactly in this coalition, but they say probably because they're Muslims, they'll be coming out of other countries that's Muslim doctrinated and joining the coalition. So they're looking at having many other peoples in this coalition. The way they're talking, this coalition is probably made up of tens of millions of people. That is going to be a very big population coming against it. Since this year, Israel has just now reached 10 million people in their population. They have a little over almost 7.5 million Jews that live in that country of Israel. And these countries that's coming at them, if they bring 10, 20, 30 million people in an army against them, it is going to be an overwhelming force, and nobody is coming to their aid. Not America. Something before this takes place is going to happen to America. Because right now, as we know and look at it, the Republican Party, and led by Trump, and after he leaves, by other Republicans, hopefully for a long time. But anyway, they will back Israel. But do you see anybody today in the Democratic Party that would back Israel? I don't see a person, not one. In fact, I see a lot of the Democrats party members will stand up for Palestine, free Palestine, and all this kind of stuff, and anti-Semitism remarks and stuff like what the colleges are doing. If I get talking politics, I'll get mad. That'll get my blood pressure up. So I'm going to stay out of that if I can. But anyway, what we're looking at is I don't see anybody standing up in America. The reason I say something's going to happen, somehow they're going to go back to the Democrat Party when we do that, as far as I can tell, to be in this. One reason could be, we might have a financial debacle where everything collapses. Maybe the stock market falls and the Republicans get all the blame, or a scandal. Lord mercy, we get a scandal in Washington every other week, I think, from somebody. But something is going to change in America to cause that. And what I think, and we'll get to it in a little bit on this, is that the rapture will take place. These Bible scholars and all that do these studies and all this kind of stuff, they say that somewhere between 10 to 20% of Americans will go up in the rapture. They say that's what they figure is as Christians. They had a survey here I read about it less than a year ago, of 17%. Only 17% of the Americans believed in the Bible to fully believe that's the way we should be governed and that's the way we should live. Americans that say that living together, I think it was way up in 60%. Stuff that people say that's okay. Pornography is above 50%. I don't remember what all right now. But the moral decay in America is going to come down. But the rapture, if it takes 10 or 20% of the population out, 10% would be about 30 million Americans. We've got somewhere around 340 million or so people living in the United States today. You take 10% of, say, 30 million up to 60 or 65 million. And most of the Christians are voted Republican. They'll vote Republican on that. You take 30 million, let's take the low figure. You take 30 million out of the Republican Party. Donald Trump didn't win, but he had, I think, 77 million votes. And Kamala, I can't believe this, but she got 75 million votes. You take 30 million away from the Republicans, you've got a Democratic-led world, or a Democratic-led America. And they are not going to back Israel. Took a lot longer than what I was going to say, but anyway, that's what it is. It do what? Yeah, in fact, we're fixing to get to that right now. That's okay. Oh, 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 okay, let's go to it. What is the purpose of this invasion? Ezekiel gives us three answers that springs from the evil hearts of Israel's attackers. And Jeremiah gives us a fourth one. I'll get to that in just a minute. First, the Russians will want to seize Israel's land. They are coming after Israel. They want the land, the territory. They've discovered oil on it. I forget how many barrels they've found already and stuff, and discovering more. They've got the Dead Sea. They say that Dead Sea has got so many minerals, different types of minerals in it, that it's worth trillions of dollars. All they have to do is start separating it and coming up with it. It's in the trillions of how much minerals is in the Dead Sea itself. But they're coming after the land. Second, the purpose will be to steal Israel's wealth. When Jeremiah wrote his book, he wrote it when there were 8.5 million people in Israel. Today there's 10 million. But when he wrote it, he had, let me see where it's at. I can't even find it right now. But anyway, there was 18 billionaires in the country of Israel with only 18.5 million people. There was over 105,000 millionaires. God said in his prophecies that when Israel became a nation again, he was going to turn Israel from being the tail, or the tail of the donkey, and everybody making fun of them and treating them bad and all this kind of stuff, and he was going to make them the head. Well, if you'll look at the country of Israel, what they are doing today, they are surging ahead in just about everything. They're in ahead on technology, in medical research, in AI research. They're the leading country on taking salt water and making it fresh water for irrigation and for everything else. They're the leading country on it. And a lot of countries are going to Israel and asking them to help them do this and that and everything else. I noticed about a year ago I was reading, Germany is buying from Israel their air defense system that shoots up rockets to knock down other rockets. They're buying it from Israel because of their technology. God has blessed them. God said he was going to bless the world through Abraham and his descendants. And that is what he is doing now with Israel. Their farm production is outstanding. It has gone from when they first started coming in as immigrants, they were just farming enough to live on, to live off of the produce. I read here 5, maybe 10 years ago now, that there was a 747 jumbo jet that leaves Israel every day loaded down with fresh cut flowers going to Europe to sell. A 747 going over. The UN has declared Israel as the garden spot of the Middle East. Their production on food and everything is outstanding, and God is blessing them. I watched a thing on TV that was this guy was talking about how Israel was being blessed so, and he was talking about dairy cows. Their dairy cows is producing more milk per cow than any country around. In fact, American farmers was going over there and trying to study how in the world can these cows produce more milk. But they were producing more milk. And I tell you, if you'd read in the Bible, you'd find out why it is. Because God said he was going to bless them. And that's just the way it comes out. But, man, there's so much. I love watching Israel. If you want to see prophecy in the making, keep your eyes on Israel and the Middle East. You know. Let me see. That's the second purpose, steal their wealth. The third, the great army from the north will seek to slaughter Israel's people. You can see that with all the Muslims. They hate it. They want to kill every one of them. In fact, Iran says they were going to push them into the sea and kill every Jew there was. That's their stated goal. Many of these terrorist organizations have got it stated in their goal is to kill Jews. And that's the third thing that they're doing. These countries have hated Israel, and ever since that Abraham exiled Ishmael. When Ishmael was put out, and Abraham let him go, him and Hagar, they left. The other countries, the Arab countries and all, have just literally hated and have twisted God's word and everything else. The Arabs and the Muslims all say that the line's supposed to go through Ishmael and not Jacob, not Esau, Isaac. I'll get it right in a minute. But the line comes down through Isaac. It's Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the way it goes. Where will the invasion occur? It's going to occur in the mountains of Israel. When Israel became a nation in 1948, they did not have the mountains of Israel. The mountains of Israel was located in Jordan. The country of Jordan is right beside them. They had just a few little mountaintops right there next to Jerusalem, and that was it. The Bible very plainly says this battle is going to happen in the mountains of Israel. In 1967, the Jews had what they called a 6-day war. Egypt, Syria, and I believe Jordan was going to come against Israel with all their forces. And Golden Meir at the time was talking with Henry Kissinger and asking him for help. And Henry Kissinger told her, said, well, just hang on, we'll help you, but we just don't want to jump the gun. And she told him, said, by the time you jump the gun, Israel's going to be destroyed. We're going to do something. And they had a 6-day war. And they whipped these 3 countries totally. I mean, they just totally whipped them bad. But it was nothing but God's power. And when they whipped Jordan, they got the mountains of Israel back in Israel. It's in their territory now. So this battle can take place where Ezekiel described it. He said it will be in the mountains of Israel, and this battle is going to be there. It can be there now because it is in Israel. Brother Ray, I'm running way over. You want me to go on or you want me to wait? We'll do it next week. I'm not going to get through tonight, I can tell you right now. All right. I'll just have to finish it next week with y'all. But there's so much more to be said on this. I mean, this war is going to be, and I'll explain some of it later next week, so dynamic with the result of what's going to happen in the tribulation period. Well, I just don't know how to say it other than it's going on with it. Okay, Brother Ray, I'll just turn it back over to you.
And I want to to challenge you to kind of dive into this a little bit. Sometimes we just get so focused on living in the moment that we don't necessarily review what's going to be taking place in the future. And I believe as we dig in and we begin to see things like that that are in the actual future, that it should cause a sense of urgency, as we've said before, to rise up within us and to recognize we want to reach as many people as we possibly can with the gospel message and see people saved, see their lives changed. And, it's wonderful to live your life in front of everybody that you come across, but it's another thing, maybe to take it a step further and, be able to see them brought in to the family of God. And it's important. It's important. And last night, Wayne was saying some things during his time of preaching, so I needed more, I guess, in the introduction part of his statements that he was making. And he just reflected back on some things that had just kind of got logged back in my mind, somewhere. And I went over to the house afterwards and was talking with Susan about that. So you remember these things? And I didn't really realize that I was absolutely, to any degree, instrumental in him coming back to God. But that was very refreshing to know that you can play a role in someone's life, connecting with God and getting back with Him. So I do pray that this puts some force within us. And saying that as well, I'm going to let you go on the 31st of October, which is Halloween. We're not necessarily going to have a festival during that time. We'll a couple of weeks out after that, we'll come together for time for us to, just enjoy the fall season. But we do want to gather as many of you as we possibly can. And on that evening, we'll have some candy bags made, something about our church, and find the communities where the lights are on, and go just drop off something. It doesn't have to be a stressful time or for anyone that you're going to have to do a lot of witnessing out there, but just a drop point to let people know that we're in the community, we care about them, and we're glad that they're in the community as well. We were a little bit more in depth with Johnny Jernigan when we went from door to door in the daytime, but with this being the evening time, just a drop and go, just to let them know maybe our name, where we're from, and how much we appreciate them, and maybe just an invitation to the church. So if you're interested in that, please let us know so that we can, we've got several communities lined up, and some things are being made up for us to take out, and it's going to be a good time, and we can come back together and fellowship on that. It's a Friday evening, is it not? Okay, yeah, the 31st is, okay. All right, then. Let's pray, okay? Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege that we have to come together on a Wednesday night and take a little deep dive, God, into the book of Revelation. And I know that there's a lot to absorb, God, a lot that we can take in. And I know that we may not be able to digest it all, Lord, during this particular course, but we can certainly lodge these things in our heart and in our mind and continue to add through them in our Christian walk and our Christian experience with you. We just ask you to bless us now. Lord, continue to keep your hand upon each and every one. And we give you thanks. Take care of us through this week, God, and let's have a great time. In Jesus' name, and everybody said,